Okay, here we go. Shit. Hey folks, yeah, that happened, unfortunately. However, I'm not going to jump straight into spending $700 or so on a new mirror, because I think I can fix it, or at least get it close. So if you want to see that, please stick around, and if you could be so kind as to throw me a like, that would be awesome, and a subscribe if you think that I've earned it, that would be fantastic. So let's get to it. The reason why I think I can fix this, temporarily anyway, is this nice surface here. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose the breakaway feature on this mirror because there's just no way I can really tell how to add glue to this, stick the mirror back on, and then still have it move. So yes, I'm going to miss out on that feature, but as an interim fix until this either A, frustrates me, or B, I find I can live without it. This gives me hope because it's a nice platform that I can sand up a little bit. I can do the same on the bottom here, just rough it up a little. I'll make sure that it doesn't extend beyond that. And oh look, the original stickers on the car. I think I can get it to sit in place because if I do this, there, that's where it's supposed to be. So if that works that way, when I'm done with this, that'll be fine. The breakaway feature, well, I guess it'll just break for real. So let's get to it. So I've chosen to use a two-part epoxy. I was looking for like a JB plastic weld epoxy type thing, but I couldn't really find that in my local store. So this one says it works for hard plastics. It doesn't work, no, these things won't work for all of them for some other reason, and I don't really know that, but others probably know. But the main reason is this is about 5 minutes to set up because despite the fact that I have my duct tape here, which I'm going to use to hold that in, I probably have to hold this thing in place until it sets, and this stuff sets in about 5 to 6 minutes, it says, and then I'm going to use the tape to secure it until 24 hours, and tin foil to mix it with. And if you don't have skewers and stuff hanging around, a chopstick from the last time you ordered takeout and didn't use them will work really well for this. So I also would recommend gloves, but my box of gloves is at my friend's house because I'm in the midst of putting a clutch in his car. So I'm going to do this without that and we'll see what happens. But let me mix this up and then I'm going to sand off, show you how I sand the surfaces, and once this is kind of ready to go, then I'll put it on and we can see how this works. So in order to rough this up here, there's a pretty good surface here. So I've just grabbed a leftover, this is an 80 grit, 120 grit, something like that. I've got like 2,000 or 3,000 grit also for polishing stuff. That's not what you need here. So I'm just going to rough it up a little bit. It's already kind of rough, so it should be enough to adhere pretty well. I'm going to do before, in front of the thing, and then try to do a little bit after here. Let's see. Just enough to get that bite, and then I don't want to pull because the wires are in there, but I have roughed up here a little bit already. I'll do this a bit more because when I put it all together, it will actually sit there. That's where it's supposed to be. But yeah, I want to make sure that I've roughed it up enough that when I put the epoxy there and on this side, I can hold it because that's where it needs to be. So again, 80, 120, probably 200 would work too. It's nice enough. You can see that it's got a pretty rough surface there. You can see that it's lightened up the plastic there. So now I'm going to go and mix the epoxy because the epoxy says mix for 1 minute straight and then you got 4 minutes to put it on. So I thought it had a cure. I was originally going to mix the epoxy and then come sand, but I double checked the instructions and that's not a good plan. So let's get over there. There, so I stirred this stuff for a solid minute, and man, does it smell bad. And in hindsight, I should have used something a little stronger than tin foil because it tore as soon as I did that. But I don't need a lot because when I put this on, it's going to spread out pretty good. And in hindsight, I should have used a popsicle stick, something with an edge on it, because it's a little tough to gather this up with a round surface, or a round stick. So I'm going to do this. I've never actually done this too much before, and those of you who have done it probably can tell that. But trying to make sure I don't get this anywhere it shouldn't be. And then, yeah, let's see, kind of spread it around, maybe up the side of this thing. There's not a lot to bite on there, but let's do that. And then this side, oops. And it will kind of peel off with an X-Acto knife or a plastic spudger tool kind of thing after, if you get it where you don't want. So that's enough. Put that down. Watch me walk in it later. Make sure you don't get it on your hands either, because it's going to definitely hold you there. So now, let's see. Okay, I want to make sure that it's in the right position. And I can't see it. Let me back that up a little bit. Wrong way. I can't see it, but you can feel it where it wants to kind of sit. So just right there. So I certainly won't make you folks sit here and watch me hold this for 5 minutes, but I'll come back to you after I have done that. Full disclosure, I tried it at first. I didn't seem to have quite enough, so I spent another minute mixing about twice as much as I did the last time, and I've set it down there now. It's been on there for about 20 seconds. Now I'm going to set the mirror in, and then I've got my duct tape to try to hold it as well. So let's see if this is a little better, has a little more luck. And as I said, I'm not going to make you folks watch me do that there. I can actually feel the epoxy kind of underneath. It's a little more goopy. So I'm going to hold it like this for 5 minutes here. So let's see what happens. I'll come back to you in a sec. Well, I held it for more than 5 minutes, and it stayed kind of enough for me to tape it up here. You can see I got black tape. I'm not very optimistic it's going to work here, but what I'm going to do, in the interest of science, is I'm going to let it cure for the 24 hours it's supposed to, and then I'll do another follow-up to this, which you'll see shortly, but it'll take me at least a day in order to see if this is actually working. So that's what I'm going to do. Again, all I used was some 2-part epoxy that's specifically for plastic, duct tape, a couple of chopsticks and some tin foil to rub it up, and then again about 80 to 120 grit sandpaper just to soften it up. So you'll find out. I'm anxious to see if this is going to work, but you folks will see it right away. Later. Truthfully, you joined me about 2 weeks after the last cut of the last video here, because it just took me that long to get back to it, but you can see that it's awfully dirty. So we've had some snow here actually, but I would call this, you can see it wobbles pretty good. I would call this a solid 70 to 80%. It's not 100 because again, I've lost the breakaway portion because I couldn't glue this thing to the pillar that would allow that to happen. I needed a good surface, which I have, but it's not super solid. So we'll see. It's had a couple weeks, like I say. There is some epoxy kind of peeking out the back here too, because again, I kind of smashed it in and held it for the 5 minutes and then taped it, and then, it's stayed on. So I don't think this will be a permanent fix for me, but I'll drive it until it really annoys me. But, if you're driving on the freeway, it starts to bounce just a little bit, and you know that it's a bit of a hack job. But in lieu of spending $700 or $100 or so, it's not a bad option until something else happens. Maybe I'll bump it again, or who knows. And in the meantime, I'm going to look for a better deal on the mirror than what I found. However, one caveat, and then I'll stop talking, I promise. I may have screwed myself because I ended up here. Let's zoom in. I glued it right to this pillar. In fact, you can see a little bit of the epoxy there. So if this comes off, that might help me, but the pieces I've seen so far don't include this. And actually I could take the cap, off of here and then just do the portion inside. So I'd actually end up keeping this and then replacing the pillar portion, and then obviously the swivel mechanism. So I may have screwed myself, don't know, but I'll let you folks know if that is the case in the future. But for now, some epoxy, some tin foil, some time, and some duct tape. That's at least I got a good mirror. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you in the next video.